Yeah, I gotta let this one go.
I'm not hearing it.
How have we not used this song before?
I don't know.
Should I be hearing
really
this?
Don't. Probably, but it's okay.
Oh,
Our guest is like, should I be hearing this?
No, sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
And then
so, Mark, it's Pink Floyd Money.
Yeah,
I picked up on that. I picked up on that from the notes, and yeah.
You heard Ken singing. I don't know how we haven't used this. Pink Floyd plenty of times, but yeah.
And every time we have Mark on, it's Pink Floyd.
So
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I had Pink Floyd last time.
Yeah. Love it.
Anyways, here we are, folks. Welcome back to Geoholics, episode 270.
Yeah, 271. Back in studio, all together.
You know what's really interesting? We just got our certificate publishing for publishing 350 episodes.
Oh, wow.
So that means, yes, officially 271 episodes, but there's another 70, whatever that number is, nine episodes that we've also published that didn't get a number.
Right. Yeah. That's a lot of
that's crazy.
Those are mostly like conference episodes.
Like roundtable discussions. Maybe we should do more of those in 26.
Maybe we should ask our listeners what they would like to see us do.
More table discussions.
Roundtables were fun.
Yeah, maybe we should do that again in 26.
I agree.
But speaking of 26 and speaking of money, we have a few openings for Friends of the Program for 2026.
We do.
Of course, Friends of the Program are sponsors. That's how we generate revenue. That's how we're able to do this, all that good stuff. Our guest who's with us this evening is affiliated with ESRI. And of course, ESRI is a friend of the program and coming back in 2026.
They are.
That's super exciting. We are recording on December 23rd.
We are. Yes. Christmas. So we may talk a little bit about Christmas, but this will likely be released in 2026.
We'll get caught up. So it's Christmas Eve.
It is.
The way I look at it.
It is.
And I was a little late getting to the studio today because
really? I didn't notice.
I'm running around trying to get last minute stuff done. And what I always forget every year is it takes at least 1.5 times longer than what you expect it to take because of traffic and madness. And it's insane. And we were talking about we both have shopping to do. We'll do that tomorrow, Christmas Eve.
Of course.
Because that's tradition.
The best time to do it.
And I remember the first time we talked about this, and you're always like, I just do everything on Christmas Eve. It's like tradition.
Yeah. I mean, I get some big stuff ahead of time. You know, I'm not just like going to the gas station and picking out presents for my wife, but we do have to go to the mall on Christmas Eve to experience. I think it's just part of Americana. You know, you just gotta experience it. You gotta elbow your way into that last hot item, or you just not. I mean, it doesn't. It has a little more value if you had to earn it a little. Yeah, I think.
In the Christmas spirit.
Yes. And I bring my daughter with me. You know, she's got to go through and see all the stuff. And we pick out an ornament every year. It's kind of like a little tradition for us.
Like Circle K? Is that where you get the ornament?
Well, yeah, that's the only thing open, but yes.
Are you taking the annual family vacation?
Yes, we are.
When do you guys leave?
I think Saturday.
Christmas. Go to San Diego
San Diego for the week and bring in the new year on the beach. It's just one of those things we like to do. I hear there's a little bit of weather coming through
really?
Southern California here. There's a what do they call it? A atmospheric river up there that's going to dump a bunch of rain. Yeah. So, but either way, you can't have a bad time when you're at the beach. Yes, exactly.
All right. Our episode is powered by MLID, also coming back for 2026.
They are excited to have them.
Surveys faster and easier than ever before. To find out more, go to emlid.com. What else is new? I mean, like we kind of already caught up a little bit here.
Yeah,
it's been forever. I feel like it's been in studio.
It has been. You know, we just get busy, and there's conferences and things, and this time of year, Thanksgiving and everything. It's the end of the year wrap up. You know, it is budgets and all the AR and planning next year and clean up backlog and then smash Christmas in there and do all the fun things with Christmas. And it's been a very good December. I would say it's gone by way too fast. The year's already over, but I'm excited for next year.
Why is the ice maker struggling back there? If anybody listening can hear the whining in the background, this is producer Sean's TikTok shop ice maker.
And it has worked wonders for us.
But I feel like it's constantly running tonight.
Well, yeah, that's how it works. What's new with you, my friend? We got to get moving.
Oh, it's new to me. I'm just excited for the holidays. I got 2 grandkids on the way. We talked about that before. The due dates are pretty much nailed down. March 10th and April 1st.
Really?
So,
Evan's birthday is March 9th.
Oh, interesting. I'll let McKenna know. I have really give it an extra push on the 9th.
You got to let her know that there's a deadline on that, because that's the most important thing.
So exciting. I just have this amazing feeling about 2026, to be honest with you.
Really?
I think it's going to be a banner year for a gazillion different reasons.
I
feel good things for you, as a matter of fact.
Okay. Well, I also agree with that.
Yes.
What is the top reason? You said a gazillion reasons. What's the number one reason you're excited about 2026?
Jeez, you know what? I mean, just things in my world feel like they're aligning. Everything's aligning, and having 2 grandkids on the way. This is like my last Christmas without grandkids. And next Christmas is going to be freaking completely different.
It will be.
But I think professionally, personally, everything is aligning beautifully. And I'm super excited about it.
That's good. It's good to hear.
You have to manifest this stuff, Sean.
I have to, or you
everybody,
have to?
Everybody. You have to manifest your good fate.
Okay. All right.
So
I agree.
And I'm manifesting for you an amazing 2026.
Well, then it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. Circle the calendar. All right. Our weekly updates brought to you by Topodot. Speaking of amazing things happening in 2026, there are some really amazing things that we can't talk about right now.
No, we can't.
But the Topodot Users Conference is celebrating its 10th anniversary. To join that community at Tuck 26 in Orlando, this year it's May 11th through the 15th. Register before New Year's Day for early bird pricing at Tuck. So to find out more, go to topodot.com. Talk about that song of the week. What we got?
Very familiar group. I think you picked this bio with the biggest words possible just to mess with me.
I copied and pasted it from the last time we had.
I know you did. All right, that was a song called Money. Pink Floyd, English rock band formed in London in 1965, gaining early following as one of the first British psychedelic groups. They were distinguished for their extended compositions, sonic experimentation, philosophical lyrics, and elaborate live shows, and becoming the leading band of the progressive rock genre. They sold more than 250 million records worldwide, making them easily one of the best-selling music artists of all time. Inducted to the U.S. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1996 and the U.K. Music Hall of Fame in 2005. I'm sure you've heard some of the things. 65 means it's 50-year anniversaries, so it's 50-year anniversary from the Wish You Were Here album and Dark Side of the Moon.
I'll be damned.
It's been 50 years. Crazy, right?
They're old.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Pink Floyd fan. I've never seen. I saw like the Pink Floyd UK thing or something. I don't know what it was. Right. Like the Pink Floyd.
And I just realized I misspoke. It's been 60 years.
Is it 60? What is 60?
I know. So they were formed. Yeah, they were formed 60 years ago. Those albums came out 50 years ago.
Oh, well, right on. Okay.
Yeah. They were formed 60 years ago.
Unbelievable. Have you ever seen any form of Pink Floyd?
In college, I saw some weird The Wall laser light shows, and I have seen Roger Waters live before. So, but
that's really cool.
Yeah, all of them are pretty cool. They're all incredible musicians.
The Wall album, vinyl, I bought 5 albums at one point in time. The first 5 albums that I bought, The Wall was one of them.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Our song of the week is brought to you by All Terra Central, also coming back next year.
They are.
Your Trimble dealer for all things survey mapping and even marine gear. To find out more, go to allterracentral.com. All right. We are doing this week the NLC Prep Trivia. This is a very fitting question for this evening's guests.
Oh, yes. All right.
Ready, set, go, Sean.
Okay, here we go. This week's question. In large infrastructure projects, one of the primary advantages of integrating BIM and GIS is A, eliminating the need for traditional surveying and field verification. That's Kent's favorite. B, enabling real-time visualization of design intent along existing conditions and asset data. Oof.
It's a lot.
Reducing regulatory approvals by standardizing all agency requirements, or D, allowing design teams to bypass constructability reviews during early phases.
You know what? This is funny because like when I take exams, and I've been very fortunate, like any like state exam or survey exam that I've taken, I've passed it on the first time. And there's a number of things I take. I'm a good test taker. No, it's not because I'm smart, I'm a good test taker. And normally in a situation like this, I'm looking at B because it has the most words in it.
Oh, and the hardest ones to pronounce.
And the hardest, yes. So like I would, even though I have no idea what the answer is, I would lean towards B.
Yeah,
for that reason.
But you know what? You can't give away any secrets. It is a contest.
It is a contest. Yes. Send us the right answer. We'll send you, what are we up to now? $25 Amazon gift card.
$25 Amazon gift card.
Yes, send us the right answer. All right. Pass your surveying exams the first time. NLCprep.com offers targeted practice and expert guidance designed for surveyors. Let's get our guest in here. Of course, our guest this week is brought to you by David Evans and Associates. To find out more about the D and A difference, visit DEAINC.com. Also coming back for 2026, we've got Marc Goldman with us this week. He's been on a number of times.
Friendly face.
In person as well as remote. Of course, Marc was born in St. Louis, Missouri, which is where he currently resides. We were talking about that. Forest Park in St. Louis is one of my favorite areas of St. Louis. Actually, it's the only part of St. Louis I like. He attended Tulane University. Hobbies include flying, biking, hiking, and traveling. Current position is storyteller and evangelist for GIS and AEC, which we're going to hone in on that for sure. His passion is getting early career professionals excited about this industry and, of course, flying once again.
Got to hear more about that.
Marc, welcome back to the Geoholics.
I'm so glad to be here, guys.
Yeah, man, I feel like we're best friends.
Oh gosh, buddy.
And I also think that we oftentimes get like a solid 10 minutes with Marc because we're always at places where there's just a lot going on, and at usually those same places, Marc has a lot going on. So I'm excited we can spend a little more time and kind of dive in a little more.
Is he everywhere that we are, or are we everywhere that he is?
No, we are.
You guys were some places that I was not. You guys have been some places I have not been. Enter Geo this year.
Oh,
you guys got over
yeah.
I
would highly recommend that you make it over there. Yeah,
I've heard good things, only good things. Yeah, this year for sure. Ooh.
Oh yeah. Munich, the weekend before, or the Wednesday, Thursday before Oktoberfest starts in Munich is going to be. We've been telling everybody, like, if there's one to go to, it's this one. This is it.
Hey, note to self.
We'll see you in Munich.
Awesome.
So let's circle back, like the flying thing. You mentioned that twice. Yeah. You're a pilot, or you just like?
I'm a student pilot, but it's been a while since I've been up in a plane. I was right on the edge of getting my private pilot's license, blowing money and having a thrill of a time. But time, life, money, weather all got in the way. But I've got a birthday present actually from a friend that I have not cashed in, which is a flight lesson in a Cirrus with an instructor and the whole lesson and such. And I did it for a while, pretty actively. It's been a while, but I think once you're a student pilot, you're always a student pilot, even if you're not actively flying. At least I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. It sounds like you're something you're really passionate about. What about like when you hear things, not to like have a black cloud over the episode, but Greg Biffle recently passed away as a result of a plane crash, and like his entire family as well. Like when you hear stories like that, like where does your mind go?
Oh gosh, wow, you're starting this heavy.
Yeah.
Where does my mind go? You don't want to take everyone with you, but when it's your time, it's your time.
Sure.
But yeah, you definitely want to take anyone with you in such a situation like that, because who says it was their time? I don't know. I never got to the place other than with an instructor flying. I did fly with my daughter once and an instructor in Alaska, over the mountains and glaciers. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was amazing. So it took me some cool places during that period when I was training, and I still am that kid who goes outside and looks at the sky as soon as, I hear a plane fly over.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's in my blood, I guess.
So are you one of those people that has like the app that tracks all the planes overhead, and you like look
Oh
up
yeah.
and like,
Oh yeah.
oh yeah, you're that guy.
Yeah. I've got there's an AR app, augmented reality, where you hold your
Oh,
phone
yeah.
up and kind of just
No
point it
way.
at oh yeah. So I've got that, but then I've got also the apps that pilots use to do all their flight planning and have all the maps and all the layers. And
That is so cool.
Well, of course he's got the maps with the layers. I mean,
yeah.
we'll get it,
Whoa,
that's right.
the map with the layers.
Yeah.
Actually, it is an interesting intersection. The aviation is so map centric, and I've always had a passion and interest in it, but I didn't start flying until I started working for ESRI. So maybe I had this ulterior motive and opportunity to play with maps.
Yeah.
And that is, and interesting that he says that. That's an area that because we talk about maps a lot, and we don't usually associate pilots and flying and maps, and that is like
shame on you.
Map Central. I know, right?
Yeah, you got to get some people.
That's
from,
right. We
right.
don't talk about that.
But it's the same thing. Like, are they pilots that are navigating the ocean? That's a whole nother
Captains.
Captains. Yes.
Pilots, captains. Yeah.
And also, you're right. They also use a tremendous amount of maps that we don't even think about.
Yeah.
Nautical.
For sure.
Yes.
Yep. But that's outside of your purview, because surveyors measure the earth, the land part of the earth, and all that is the air part and the water part.
So we measure the Earth's surface.
Yes. So bathymetry, is that fall under surveying?
It does.
Bathymetry, bathymetry.
Yes, absolutely. Because we're measuring the Earth's surface, we're measuring from the water level to the
center.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Clearly, that part of the exam you just really knocked out of the park, right?
No, I picked the answer with the longest words.
No, that's right. That's right. Okay, so you got to start us. We probably talked about your journey before, but I really like hearing, how you kind of go from liking architecture and engineering to ending up being a GIS AEC evangelist.
Yeah, certainly. I started out in architecture and engineering school at the same time, working in the CAD labs of the school and working in facilities management department at a local hospital, just up to my eyeballs in AEC even before I would have graduated, and ended up leaving early to chase a tech concept in the world of AEC and CAD. I think before those terms, right when those terms were really coming around. It was the early 90s, and I was in architecture school, and a friend and a recent grad pulled me aside and put a bug in my ear that I think he knew would bite and stick with me. And this idea of just bringing together the concepts and the methods of putting your designs on paper and picking from the materials that you want to use to make that design come together. And it led to a company. I actually just today was going through some old boxes and found one of the old floppy disks, 5 1/4 inch, that we were building out our Lisp routines, and got a business off the ground doing early AutoCAD customization for. It was called Cascade Software, which stood for Computer Aided Specification, Computer Aided Design Enterprises.
Wow.
In New Orleans, I had a company called Cascade. Everyone thought I was up in like the Washington or Portland area with Cascade, and and that.
You know what the name of my first company was?
Oh, geez, here we go.
2 surveyors and a robot.
2 surveyors and a robot. Nice.
That's not
catchy.
Bad.
Yeah, that's catchy.
Instead of like 2 men in a truck, it was 2 surveyors and a robot.
Huh.
That works.
So, Mark, I got to ask. You mentioned. I'm just ignoring that. Mark, I got to ask.
Table that. Put that in the parking lot.
Yeah. Put that one in the in the bag for later. You mentioned facilities management while is that where you're working in while you're in school?
Yeah, I had a work study job that paid me probably minimum wage to sit in front of 2 big CRTs on an old version of AutoCAD, turning this 100-year-old hospital's drawings into CAD files to then use in Archibus was the product at the time, which is still around. It's been rebranded. But yeah, that was a work study job while in architecture school. I'd jump on the St. Charles streetcar and go down about 10 blocks and work 5 in the evening till 10 at night and use the computers there to do my modeling and rendering as well. So I put my own bosses in the seat.
What did Cascade do?
The idea was that within AutoCAD, you should have a library of your toilets and fences and flooring and dropped roof ceiling systems, all your products that you would use, and specify somewhere in that life cycle of going from a design to something getting built. And we were building out Lisp routines for manufacturers that connected the AutoCAD generic environment with their product configurations and their specs and their information. That this was pre-web. This was the 90s. And we were trying to, we were early explorers of CD-ROM at the time, figuring we could get a lot of manufacturers' content. Yeah. 640 megs, I think, on one of those back in the day, which is, a PowerPoint file if you're lucky these days.
Yeah, exactly. So do you think that, I mean, I'm sure like the connections that you're talking about and GIS applications now, but I mean, like the way you describe it, it's like what you were doing in college and is like the predecessor for your career now, right? I mean, like,
very much so. Yeah,
when you talk about facility management and early CAD, like that to me is what it is, like what everyone is using it for, like, not everybody, but
asset management is a huge,
asset management mostly, right?
What Sean is trying to say is you were way ahead of your time.
Correct, yes.
I worked on a project back in that time.
Yeah,
it was a little bit unrelated to this, this venture of trying to get every building product manufacturer to subscribe with this little startup based out of New Orleans to compile all their product information. Meanwhile, I was doing various CAD consulting work. And I came upon a project. The developer in New Orleans wanted to understand where dilapidated and unused and even just vacant lots existed in an area in New Orleans, with the intent to bring them all together under one developer and turn it into this resource of community services, places for before school and after school, daycares, gyms, things that could just be put to use. So it was a mapping exercise, but we also needed to know what the floor plans were, down to a level of detail of individual buildings, footprints, and floor plans. So it was a GIS and CAD project in 1992 or so, when the two were such different worlds. I mean, they were just and I talked to other people who at the same time, same era, were trying to bring the two together, and it was horror stories of rubber banding and stretching things, and systems not understanding that one was coordinate based on the real world and one was coordinate based on just essentially a local UCS, just a coordinate system of XYZ arbitrarily placed. And making the two work together, I've saved maybe 10 projects that I worked on in my whole life. The one house that I had built in New Orleans that I think got decimated by Katrina, some cranes that I helped engineer when I was working for a mechanical engineering firm, and this project in New Orleans where I've got like 5 or 6 printouts in color of New Orleans at various levels, just because it left such a mark with me and made me gravitate towards CAD, because GIS in my mind was so different, so complex, that I needed to go to an engineering firm just to find a license of it. And that they weren't meant to work together, was my impression, almost until I started working at ESRI. And I've actually got some slides that I tell that story of how horror-stricken I was by GIS early in my career. And then somehow 30 years later, Jack Dangerman agrees to hire me after interviewing me. And I think I shared that story with him.
When you say you were horror-stricken, expand on that just a little bit.
I was just in a project that was so high profile early in my career, and it was just kind of an all or nothing. Either this is going to work and I'm going to put together this presentation for the mayor and some developers and a mentor, and it was my only livelihood at a time that I was trying to also get the startup off the ground. It was just an all or nothing kind of situation. And it came together to the degree that I save it and show it off still 30 years later. But it was, I just remember it being one of those projects that you thought was going to be a few days, maybe a week or two. And instead it was all-nighters, night after night after night, just trying to make maps and CAD come together to tell a story that you had to tell.
Yeah, yeah. So, okay, so after Cascade, what was the next step?
The next step was Autodesk. Well, Cascade did a couple things. Cascade also, in an attempt to become a developer, found out about AutoCAD distribution as well, and tried to become an AutoCAD distributor, dealer, reseller back in the 90s. And someone from Autodesk reached back out to me and said, we have plenty of people selling AutoCAD, but we've got this new thing called 3D Studio, computer animation, computer modeling. Would you be interested in that? So I became a reseller of 3D Studio at the time, hired a couple of modelers, paired up with an animation company down in New Orleans, and was doing architectural modeling and animation, acting as sort of a design assist for if you've been down in New Orleans the last 30 years, Harrah's Casino. I was modeling that in Sofimage on SGI computers and PCs and Macs. We had this hybrid environment. It was so ahead of its time with a room full of monitors where you could actually see what everyone was working on in this production type environment. And we were doing 3D modeling for architects way ahead of anyone actually doing it themselves in their office. So that was 3D Studio, and then
yeah, and I'm sure you weren't scanning any of that to. I mean, you were building it from scratch, right?
We had floor plans from the architects. It was brute force. There was no reality capture. Those two words were not being put together to mean anything. And even at that time, anything that was contextual, the casino was essentially floating in space. And we might have modeled a couple of buildings around it to give it a little bit of context. But that was as far as we went, as far as bringing CAD and any kind of maps together for that project, even though the casino itself occupied, two substantial city blocks in the middle of the city. We didn't even go there as far as mapping the city went. We did model, I think, some of the major landmarks around town. But that led to me hiring a great animator and modeler, young guy who actually was a pilot as well at 20 years old. He got hired by Autodesk because they had this great growing business around 3D animation and modeling. So I lost my primary talent. And a month or two later, he called me and said, Mark, I know you want to get out of New Orleans, and California is the place to be. Autodesk is hiring. And he connected me, and I ended up joining Autodesk in 94.
Crazy. So who were like some of the people that you were working with early on? Because you're like a pioneer of this stuff. That's obvious. But like, who were some of the people that you were working with early on that are now like icons in the industry like yourself?
Oh gosh. So one name that comes to mind, first person that I met at Autodesk in the developer program who just retired, Jim Quancy, who a lot of listeners will probably know of him. He was one of the longest term people at Autodesk, very visible in their developer community. And Autodesk, have got thousands of developers, tens of thousands probably over the years. So lots of people would have touched base with Jim. Ian Howell, when I joined Autodesk for about a year in, I learned about this effort to put building product information all together and make it available to architects that Autodesk was going to do. So it didn't take me long to want to be part of that group. And leading that effort was Ian Howell, who up till recently was the chairperson and the head of the AEC Industries' effort to create interoperability, the Building Smart International organization, the IFC file format and data exchange leader. So he was definitely a mentor of mine early in the day, and I've stayed connected to and see him still at the conferences, and we brainstorm and reminisce. That'd be just a couple of folks from the Autodesk era. There's plenty more. I still remember working for a woman who's still at Autodesk, Mary Hope McQuiston. She leads Autodesk's education effort. There's a handful of people that have been there for, going on 20, 30 years that I worked with back then. I actually had 2 tours of duty at Autodesk, though. I chased some .com dreams at the end of the first round which lasted for about 5 years. And those .com dreams went for a few years, worked for some BIM services companies based out of India, and then came back to Autodesk 2006 to 2009. And they're still
Well,
where
who
I
didn't
had
chase that in California at that time? I mean,
You know,
you
exactly.
were, I mean,
you weren't cool. If you
yeah,
weren't.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I had so many friends who were paper millionaires, and here I was working for this stodgy old desktop software company that wasn't on the internet.
Yeah.
So no, it
yeah.
was such a draw to be part of that vibe, and I was young still, and I'd just come off of a great benefit that Autodesk still does. Every 4 years, you earn a 6-week vacation paid. They call it a sabbatical, but it's not like you have to write a paper or do any research. So I took that sabbatical and did some hunting around, and the .com bug bit me, I guess, there as well, and chased that for a while. And it was definitely some great learning experiences in trust but verify, maybe. Might be the biggest takeaway from that time frame.
Sure, yeah.
I got a question that just came to mind. So you've got Autodesk and you've got Bentley, right? Which are like the two main CAD platforms. Is it surprising to you at all that there was never any, or maybe there was, and I just don't know about it, any other real competition to those two CAD platforms?
There was, and there definitely was, let's say, third tier in volume and visibility, more regional and geographic. You got Autodesk and Bentley, who are both US based. Germany has a holding company called Nemetschek, and Nemetschek has 4 or 5 CAD and BIM authoring applications, and even ones that were ahead of Revit, which we all know as the sort of the predominant BIM application in the US and globally, I guess now. But ArchiCAD from Graphisoft, which is a Nemetschek brand, was very ahead in BIM way before that term came into being. And then on the CAD side, there were a number of things. There was an organization that sprung up that was a group intent on reverse engineering the AutoCAD DWG file format. And they got nice amount of funding from a few sources, formed an organization, built an AutoCAD killer. The company got acquired by Microsoft. The company, in addition to this CAD killer, had a product called Visio. Microsoft acquired Visio and killed this AutoCAD killer. And that became the Open Design Alliance, who is the organization that provides all the software vendors libraries for reading and writing DWG and Revit files and other formats, other than Autodesk, who writes them themselves.
Yep.
Interesting.
That is crazy.
Tangled web.
What a tangled web. No doubt about it. So, like, you got something?
I was going to dive into, evangelism, because that's not something you hear in everyone's bio. And I like this question that you put on here, Kent. Like you're a storyteller and evangelist. Like, what's the narrative you wish every architect and engineer heard first when they think about GIS?
Yeah. Like I said, GIS, I could barely spell it before I joined ESRI. I had a pretty negative impression of it. And I think that's just had been pervasive up until recently. I think there's a lot of reasons that now GIS is more easily understood and easily accepted. But I would say these days, if you're an architect whose role is to be a professional problem solver, as are engineers, and you're not taking all sources of information available to you to create solutions to those problems, then you're performing malpractice. You are negligent these days if you are not finding the data sources that are right at your fingertips to understand existing conditions and potential risks above ground and below ground, and based on historical conditions and projecting into the future. And that's what architects and engineers are doing. They're building the infrastructure of the buildings for us into the future, hopefully based on context and needs of a community. Maybe the community is a family, maybe the community is a whole city who have to come and go on the highways. But if you're not using GIS, you are, I'll say it again, you're performing malpractice on your projects.
That's a powerful statement, Mark.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I I don't know if that's the evangelist in me or the optimist in me or the pragmatist in me. but I think about it, if I was running a practice that did any types of design work beyond tenant improvement or interior design, anything that touched the landscape or had even just an impact on a community aesthetically, that sight lines and what's your building going to look like in various places. If you weren't using GIS and placing that model in location and understanding what else is around it by just grabbing a few layers of population density or traffic flow or prevailing winds or other points of interest. So many of these sources of data are really so easily available, many for free, often with a small purchase. You might have to license some imagery, or go out and capture it yourself with a drone or a LiDAR scan, or some other, hell, even your mobile phone these days can capture reality.
Yeah.
So, do you think? And I'm curious on the evangelism. Is it more now geared toward what you're talking about, going out and capturing data, and then how to get that into a layer that you can make use of it, or is it about utilizing existing resources that are already out there?
I think it's about geospatially referencing all this data.
Okay.
Yeah.
We know where your side is, buddy. We know where you're coming from. I'm interested in someone else's perspective for a change.
Geo in there somewhere.
Yeah. No, we're drinking the same Kool-Aid. No, it definitely is.
But
geo
you understand what I'm
part.
asking there of each side?
No,
well, again. I mean, I'm just curious, like when you're telling the story, is it more about collecting your own data and helping people use it to the best potential, or is it looking for and finding all of the existing resources that are out there of people that are already using some of these great platforms?
Yeah, I'll maybe answer a different question. It's removing misconceptions about what GIS is still, and showing examples that are very much art of the possible when you have all of these data layers brought together. There's a lot of misconceptions about GIS and its level of accuracy compared to CAD and BIM, which are highly accurate down to many decimal points of accuracy. But GIS is as accurate as the data is that you bring in. We bring in CAD and BIM data that has that level of accuracy, and we place it typically where you may not need that level of accuracy. You don't necessarily need the building to be at a location within 8 decimal points of an inch, which you could do with a CAD program, but you need it to be properly located based on the surveys that you've collected, and that's typically within fine accuracy. And it is survey accurate. It is CAD and BIM information dropped at those survey locations, but it's contextual. It's not just geo-reference. I think my soapbox is that, like I said, that statement about malpractice. If you're not using the context that's at your fingertips, you are just failing to deliver a project to its utmost. Because that's right. I think that's my evangelism.
Yeah, when you say malpractice, at first I was like, "Ooh, that's a pretty stiff word for this application." But at the same time, now that I'm understanding a little bit more, it's like you have all this information available to you at your fingertips.
Yeah.
Like if you're not taking advantage of that information, if you're not taking that information into consideration when you're doing your designs, that's malpractice.
Sure.
Because it's all there.
Right.
Yeah.
And you can't use
a doctor who doesn't call for an MRI.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A doctor that doesn't call for a CAT scan or doesn't look at the X-rays, which they do that. They let the radiologist do the report on the X-rays, and your doctor attending at the hospital doesn't look at it and he relies on a report. That would be malpractice. Someone else collects the data. I don't need that survey data. What am I going to do with that? I'm an architect. I'm just worried about height, light, and space.
Yeah. But let me ask you this, Mark. Is this a generational issue? And the reason I say that is because the reason I say that, it's like, I consider myself, unfortunately, Sean's gonna love this, I'm the older generation of surveying.
You're on the edge of boomer. I think we all are, aren't we? Kind of just maybe right on the edge of boomer.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yep. Something like that.
No, you're not on the edge. You're full boomer.
but I stayed at a Holiday Inn Express.
Yeah, right.
I'm giving it the benefit of the doubt. Let it run.
Yeah, let's say you're approaching the sunset of your career.
Well, no. Now it's getting depressing. Now there's a black cloud on the episode.
Let's just call you old school.
Well, old school. There you go.
Ooh.
So they're like the old school architects, right? That, for fuck's sake, some of those guys are still, and girls, whatever, are still drawing shit on paper and stuff like that. Back of the napkin stuff,
People
right?
like
It's
to
like
do that.
the older, what you call it? Not older generation. What do you call it?
Old school.
Old school. Yes. I mean, they could give two shits about if it's geo-referenced and all this GIS information, but yet, you know, the younger generation of AEC professionals are much more in tune with the value that this information provides.
Sure, and it might be a chicken and egg. Are they in tune to the value of the data because they're loving the apps that they get to use, or the apps that they get to use driving the, I don't know, which comes first. There are plenty though of people in the back 20 years, let's say, of their career who are my age, who came up with drafting boards and evolved into CAD and evolved into BIM and evolved into GIS and whatever else, augmented reality and everything else, reality capture. There definitely is a generational change going on. The retiring of baby boomers and the influx of millennials in an industry that is very family driven, family oriented. What, so like 90% of all AEC businesses have 10 people or less, or some, you know, crazy statistic. Might not be that extreme on either end. That might be a little hyperbolic, but there is, in the 30 or so years that I've been at this, perhaps other than the .com bubble, when everyone was so excited about tech and AEC had a ridiculous amount invested into it, the embracing of tech right now is certainly at an all-time high, and a number of standout activities have happened just in the last few weeks, you know, a few months, let's say, and even AEC firms acquiring huge AI companies. And rather than buying software from someone like ESRI or Autodesk, they're just now acquiring their own AI companies. So,
it's insane. It's crazy.
Times.
And you may have some interesting perspective here, but do you see similarities in that .com bubble to this AI surge that we're seeing now?
Yeah, I know everyone's talking about the AI bubble.
I'm just curious about how does this look
maybe
to the previous bubble that you experienced?
Yeah. So the previous one, there was what is the Gartner curve, the hype cycle, where you you hit a peak of hype, and then you go into the trough of disillusionment, and then you come back out into a phase of pragmatic and realistic delivery. We are definitely at a high point. But that said, there are some fundamental changes to the way we are doing our work and the way businesses are going to bill for their services, and just change their entire value proposition across the board. Totally. And I would say in some ways you could find some analogies to the early .com era. I heard an interview with Jeff Bezos, who I by no means follow Amazon. I'm probably like one of the last people on the earth who doesn't have an Amazon account. But he was told that the valuation and the valuation and the ability for Amazon to be successful at whatever it was, 94, 95, it would require the company to not completely, but to significantly put out of business the brick and mortar retail industry.
Sure.
And that's what it's done. So, so that fundamental change that the .com era ushered in of e-commerce that didn't exist beforehand, I'd say that AI is going to have, perhaps a similar kind of change in economic impact in the way we just conduct our life, conduct our business in a way that e-commerce has changed the way businesses procure and we procure. And that's the analogy that I see, that there's hype, It's going to fall into a trough, but it's here to stay. And where it tapers off is going to have obviously a huge long-term impact, and is going to drive, who knows, quantum computing and get us to
in the environment you're describing right now, which I completely agree with. Who are the people that are going to be most successful or excel under these under these current circumstances?
The people who are going to excel the most, I'm going to be a little cynical here, are the startup founders who are figuring out how to use this technology to develop some new solution that's going to automate some of the things that we've just become used to doing, and their businesses are going to take off, and they're going to either be acquired, or they're going to form new technology areas of productivity and automation that are relying on AI. But we're not talking about AI. We're just talking about being more productive in our feature generation from reality capture is one. Automating the process of doing code review in our design applications in real time, the way we might do a spell check today. So I think that there's just some of these companies, those are a couple that I'm connected to and tracking, who through AI are probably gonna do really well, and dozens of other companies like that. The individuals who have figured out how to leverage the consumer AI tools that are available to us so easily for free, or even for a small, $20 a month, or ChatGPT or Gemini or any of the others. Mastering prompts, mastering inquiry, mastering the use of this team of virtual PhD assistants that can answer any and every question that you throw at them, and scaled up to the degree of generating detailed mathematical analyses and reports in no time. So I think mastery of the tools that have just suddenly become our everyday world.
Yeah, and I've been hearing a lot of that. Completely agree. It's the prompt masters, and those that know how to use the tools best is the ones that are. That's the way I go to first. And it's like, you look at all the people in the office. Oh, that guy really knows how to use it, and I can ask him to do something, and he'll spit it out back to me faster than anyone else.
Well, the thing that's interesting though is, like, we've been talking about like ChatGPT for what seems like this entire year pretty regularly, and it's like my GPT knows me so freaking well at this point.
Actually, that's a really good name. It's going to turn into my GPT, and exactly.
But it knows me so well. It knows me personally. It knows me professionally, and like it knows the podcast. And every time I ask it a question or ask it to do something, it's taking all that into consideration, just making everything so much better. It's ridiculous.
No. Well, we do talk about that
on so many levels. It's ridiculous on so many levels, though. The Borg knows you. The Borg knows you now, and what does it do with that? You are this virtual persona that exists to be marketed to and tapped into and followed. I mean, me too. I'm more guilty probably than you. But it's a strange world.
It's like, but that's awesome.
Well, and eventually they'll just start answering your emails for you, and it'll answer emails in the way that you typically do.
Go for it.
Well, that there will be a point, and
that's agentic AI. That's your agent talking to another agent, and the answer is happening, and you just getting a report in the morning. I connected with the project management AI over at the job site, and here's what we found got finished and didn't get finished, and here's the task list for tomorrow, and making decisions for you.
And I think the drawbacks between that one and the actual real person doing that same job are starting to get very, very minimal. Where I don't need actually a human to get really into it. I just need just the facts kind of report, and that they can do.
It's happening for sure.
I do want to jump in and kind of we've talked about AI a lot. What you did mention something earlier about GIS and adoption and misconceptions, and you will have a pretty unique perspective here. How do you think that has progressed over the last 20 years and up to now on the typical AEC folks on adopting GIS and learning new things and getting over the misconceptions? How has that progressed?
Yeah, so if we go back 20 years, let's say 20 years would have been 2005, and it would have been AutoCAD, probably version 2005. Revit was just acquired probably, and Autodesk had no concern with maps, neither did any of the other CAD players. So it was ESRI and a handful of mini mainframe and client server kinds of systems. There were two very separate worlds. And that was the case probably until Autodesk came out with its own map group through acquisition. A handful of leaders in the industry got acquired and a few products from Autodesk. But by 7 years ago now, we might be going on 8, that's when ESRI and Autodesk decided it made more sense to partner, and that each other's strengths could lead to, the lifting the ship, the rising tide lifts all ships.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So that was when the two companies came together, literally at an Autodesk University event. Jack Dangerman from ESRI came out on stage and shook hands with Andrew Anagnos, who was recently, I think, the new CEO. And Autodesk, for the most part, got rid of, put to rest, put to sleep, sold off its mapping applications, all but AutoCAD Map 3D, which still exists. And the creation of an alliance between the two leaders in AEC and GIS definitely had a big effect on the industry's understanding of the two, that it wasn't necessarily one or the other. Once they started seeing products working together and information sharing between them, and all those pulling my hair out kinds of early 20s issues I talked about being gone now. I mean, the examples I show that are bringing the two together are just amazing visualizations, highly accurate, all these layers like we talked about. So the last 7 years have been this logarithmic curve of adoption and interest. Funny, we both at the same time did that.
That was weird.
That's how Mark and I are sometimes.
We've got to rate our love going here, man. Yeah,
right.
We're connected. We're connected. But it's been, we would go to trade shows 5 years ago, and we literally would have people look at the name, say our name in a weird way, not know how to say GIS. Thinking it's like BIM, that you read the word. What is GIS? Which is fine. I mean, that's actually how you pronounce it in some European countries. But it's been, now we go to shows and we have people coming up to us, asking us randomly the technical questions about integration that proves you are much more mature in the marketplace, and users doing cool things that are often more cool than things that we have to show, even in our examples. We'll get someone over at a trade show and we'll give them some little video that we think is the coolest thing. And they'll tell us about the same project that they worked on that, we got to get a demo of that. You're doing cooler stuff than we knew. So it's definitely a point of, I don't want to say overload, because we always want more customer stories about how they're putting the stuff to use. But we've got examples that are some of those visually compelling, important solutions to real world problems, flooding situations, population growth, urban housing, you name it, that you just don't do in a CAD program or a BIM program by itself. So we've really expanded, I think, into the services that AEC firms are already doing in some cases. And then we've found ways that location information, geolocating your assets, helps with construction planning and construction tracking and the creation of, dare I say, a digital twin that then gets handed over to the owner for long-term asset management. So it's this digital thread that we are helping create across the whole project lifecycle. And that's demanded now. That's not hand waving and dream kind of scenarios, Star Trek-y stuff. That's just expected now, is digital handover when you hand over the keys, and that's more than just a CD-ROM full of
but that's an alternative delivery situation then, right? And it's like the end user has to be on board with what that deliverable is going to be, right? Because we talked about digital twins, we've talked about reality capture. There's a lot of this stuff going on right now, but people are in business to make money. Who's making money off this stuff?
Who's making money on the creation of these, again, digital twins or on the software?
Creation of digital twins, our good friend Matt Bird, he's got his reality capture network and stuff like that. Bless his heart. There's a lot of stuff going on. But this is like, we're pioneers. You know what I mean? It's like we're still figuring this shit out. Like who? I look at the company I work for, and I throw this stuff out there, and it's like okay, how are we going to make money off that?
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to make money off of creating a digital twin? How are you going to make money off of reality capture?
Well,
Who's making money, Mark?
So who's making money? Certainly there's a lot of service companies and branches of engineering firms, and reality capture has become its own industry. You've got companies like WSP who have WSP Geospatial, I think it is, the division within their company that is dedicated to reality capture surveying and doing it in a very digitally forward kind of way. So I don't know if it's necessarily who's making money, because there are plenty of service companies who are being put to task to develop the content, to then enable the engineers and designers to make better decisions.
But the end user has to be willing to pay for this.
Or the engineering firm has to embed it in their costs, and it is not an added cost. It is making them more productive in developing an as-built condition. And I wish I had some numbers. I probably should have some numbers in my role of what the uptake is and expectation for digital handover of a digital twin ready set of information at the end of a project. Hospitals, airports, government facilities, government buildings, even down to the serial builders like a Home Depot or Lowe's or Chick-fil-A, expect their buildings to be handed over digitally so they can do asset management. Campuses, universities, corporates.
Yeah, it seems like it starts with those critical infrastructure buildings that you would think would demand something like this, but then it goes to more of an efficiency thing. Like McDonald's sounds like but that's a pretty sophisticated AEC component of how they build. And I like Mark's talking about, like those big ones. Are you going to see Costco's? Costco, it is a pretty. You think you just build a big building, but they have some very tight specs because they run a tight operation, and that's where I think that's going. And I think the people making money, like Mark says, are the ones that are being able to deliver those because clients are now asking for it.
Maybe I shouldn't say who's making money. Who's getting rich?
Who's getting rich? Okay, there you go. I think that's an interesting question. The people who would be getting rich by truly delivering on the use cases that a digital twin enables. A digital twin has to be use case driven. You don't just create a pretty 3D model with IoT sensors telling you when doors are closing and opening and when your HVAC system is over exceeding its spec, unless that's an issue that you want to address. So they have to be use case driven. And these are problems that are related to facilities in the built world that clearly have a technology element to them, and the people getting rich are going to be the AEC firms who are delivering. And the owners benefit in the long term by having the digital twin. The engineering, consulting, tech forward types of firms who enable their client with more than just a pretty design or more than just a building that goes up and a set of keys to occupy it, but truly a digital connection to that building for the long term. There's lots of money to be made in there.
Sure, there will be lots of money. Because Sean, I look at here's where I'm going with this, because I look at you and the company that you manage, right? And you guys are trying to be on the cutting edge of all this stuff. And it's we've had this conversation about as-built, right? You guys do a lot of residential developments, City of Phoenix. There has to be as-builts, blah 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 blah. Just because you guys are capable of creating a digital twin of the as-built of a residential development doesn't mean the City of Phoenix is going to accept that. They still want shitty paper as-built.
Well, but that's what Mark's job is, and that's what my question is what is Mark's job as the evangelist here? Yes. Are you spending more of your time educating the owners and end users or the AEC firms on how to use that to deliver to those owners and end users?
So yeah, let me, again, like I tend to do, let me answer a different question.
Answer my question in a different way.
Yeah.
I love it.
So ESRI is a 57-year-old company. It's as old as I am. So I just showed my age. And for the longest time, up until 6 years ago, there was not a group who focused on the AEC firms, the consulting firms, the kind of people who I'm talking to on a day-to-day basis. Instead, it was focused on water and transportation and aviation and state and local government and federal, all the owner operators. So I've got counterparts who are talking to all of the cities and all the states and all of the federal groups who are owner operators and private entities like utilities and oil and gas and alternative energy sources. So they're all talking to them, evangelizing as well about GIS. I have the luxury of getting to talk primarily to the engineering, construction, architecture, design, environmental companies and listen to them. I hopefully listen as much as I talk. I don't know about tonight. But
right here,
I've got counterparts, but it's one degree of separation between talking to HNTB about their great application of our technology and Denver Airport or San Francisco Airport where they've done work, or HDR and similar, and Skanska and their owners, or power engineers and some utility company. So it's a multi-front war that we've put on across the world to get the world of infrastructure to understand GIS. And although I would say that my group at ESRI owns a little bit more of the responsibility, carries the torch for things like BIM and GIS interoperability and CAD and GIS interoperability, because it's the AEC firms that live and breathe it more so than, let's say, the owners.
Got it.
Yeah. Did I answer your question? Did I do a good job of totally dancing around that?
Yeah, I mean, you're a professional at this, so you know how to dance around it and still somewhat sound like you answered my question.
Yeah.
I do have to ask one thing, and I'm just really curious before we got a couple more things to get to, but you mentioned something that was interesting, and it feels like you've gotten to the point where you used to have to develop your own case studies and ways to use GIS. And now it seems like the people you interact with are coming with more and more crazy things that they're doing. That do you think that's the inflection point that you've gotten to, where the masses are now kind of taken over all the great case studies that you don't have to come up with anymore to sell this? Or are you still on that? Are you not there yet?
There's still the firms don't want to necessarily always reveal their secret sauce, and a lot of projects just stay under the radar for various reasons. But even some that you would think would have to be kept quiet and private and silent end up getting lots of visibility, like the Western Hemisphere's busiest person and the vehicle checkpoint, crossing point between San Diego and Tijuana, is completely digital twinned out, is completely 3D modeled and monitored and IoT censored, and the handover for this multi-billion-dollar, huge in size and complexity project we're talking about in webinars, and there's articles written about it. So not to the point, hopefully we didn't show anything like any kind of back hallways to escape. But
where the hole in the fence is, because
exactly. But no, again, I'll try to answer your question. We are always looking for examples of customers doing cool things because they're constantly pushing the envelope in this area. It was a digital map 5 years ago. Now it's 3D immersive game engine integrations that combine satellite imagery, drone imagery, CAD and BIM files kept up to date with IoT sensors showing you, like I said, when doors are closing. That's where we're at, and it feels sort of Star Trek-y to describe like that compared to the everyday challenges of just getting a set of drawings out. But that's what we're seeing, cool examples like that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
What else you got, buddy?
Well, we always have to talk about, we talked at the beginning of the show about mentors, and kind of want to circle a little bit about that, because we always talk about, people, kids and getting young people interested in this business? What are the things that you're doing and seeing out there on, let's say converting folks to the dark side and getting them interested in GIS, and specifically the AEC application of GIS? Are you getting some traction out there?
Oh yeah, definitely. There's a handful of, I'll call them early career professionals, I think is the term. Entrepreneurs, some have gone through degree programs and MBAs and investor clubs, and others a little more scrappy than that. But the recognition that location information just ties things together, and that there's huge opportunities to create new businesses and tell the story. I'm involved with a handful of companies and initiatives and industry organizations that help me do that. I have put a proud dad, hat on for a second. My son is an early career architecture professional, and he's definitely been intrigued and putting his toe in the water of GIS and BIM and open source tools and developing applications himself. So the fruit doesn't fall from the tree, as they say.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Yeah.
And there's just any opportunity. Honestly, if someone reaches out to me on LinkedIn and says, "Hey, I'm new in this industry and I see you've been a lot of places, would love to hear your thoughts," I'll take it. I'll take that LinkedIn connection and give them my calendar link, and we'll find a time to chat, because it was done for me.
Cool.
And I think it's a low price to pay to share some thoughts and also get excited about someone who's got a completely new perspective on something that I know I've been jaded, in for 3 decades.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So Mark, what does all this look like to you? You've got GIS and BIM and reality capture and digital twins. I mean, what's the perfect scenario in your mind?
I don't know if it's perfect, but I think it's where we're heading.
That's the big question: is where do you think we're heading?
And this might come across as crass, but the need for today's type of surveying, I'm sorry to say, is gonna go away when many of our owner operators have got trustable digital twins of their assets, and whether that's an entire city down to centimeter accuracy of every asset they have, and eventually BIM files of the as-built. The need to go out and set up a transom is going to get pretty low and hit points. I think that there's going to be, I'm working with an ESRI partner who does reality capture, and one of his specialties currently is in the area of cemetery documentation. Imagine every grave being GPS located and a photo of every gravestone being captured. Once that starts happening, you got to imagine that's happened after the fire station got digitized and after our utility network got digitized. So we're going to be at a point where I honestly believe a trustable, verified, centimeter level accuracy model of our built world is going to be available for engineering, architecture, planning purposes. And I don't know if that's the perfect world. It's a little scary in some ways. It enables all kinds of capabilities.
When do you think? Yeah, when do you think that's going to happen? How long do we have here?
When is that going to happen?
I think 5 years. I think 5 years.
5 years.
I think it's going to be like the phone industry. It's going to be like, you used to see coverage maps by T-Mobile and Verizon. Yeah, you guys will be retired. Just in time. But how long ago was it? 10 years ago that you would hear, that you truly would be in some location and you didn't get cell coverage? Who does that now? Other than a tunnel. Even tunnels now, are Wi-Fi. So I think that coverage map of the Earth being digitized is, and I know the companies like Nearmap and Aerometrics and Planet and others who are flying airplanes, capturing the data already on a regular basis. They're getting further and further out into the outskirts of Kansas, connecting the dots between Kansas City and Denver.
No. All right, Mark, let's say this. Let's be hypothetical, right? 5 years from now, we have a sub-centimeter model of all of North America. Okay, perfect world, right? hypothetical, we have a sub-centimeter model of all of North America. What happens then?
I think it changes the workflow in our world, from the engineer who is struggling to put together existing conditions models to start his project. It is changing the workflow of asset management, because you no longer have an excuse that I didn't know what I had. Why didn't you just pay $1,000 and have someone run a Gaussian splat analysis and a segment anything across our campus and come up with an asset library of everything? I'm sounding very Star Trekky there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
no, we know those terms.
We do.
Yes.
We know those terms.
So okay, so
couldn't be tested
a year ago, the number of people who heard the term and knew the word Gaussian splat was a cup full of people, and now we're a swimming pool full at least. And
well, if these two knuckleheads have said it
exactly.
before, we've gotten further along.
We've gotten to an Olympic-sized swimming pool of people.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
with that technology and AI, we now can use the photos that the masses have taken, or that Nearmap has taken, or that we did for a specific construction project this year. And those photos now become the basis of centimeter or sub-centimeter accurate models that have then been segmented. That's a telephone line, and that's a telephone pole, and that's a street stripe, and that's a curb cut, and that's a bus stop. I mean, all these things now become objects.
But I think that what you asked is where it's going to go, and what Mark is saying, and obviously completely agree, it's going to change that workflow. But that just means it changes the workflow. So now when you're asking engineer, architect guy to, hey, build this, whatever it is, in this space, he's not going to struggle with collecting data and getting existing conditions. Those already exist. He's going to come up with a base model or some design idea, put some stuff on paper, establish some boundaries, and he's going to have to hand it to somebody, ideally a surveyor, to say, hey, this is what I want to build here. This is what I think the existing conditions are. Then you're going to have to go out and say, yes, that's all good. That's all right. Yes,
I do agree. I agree. There's trust but verify. Trust but verify.
And so you're gonna, I'm sorry, it's not gonna completely replicate everything, but you're still gonna be there.
It's almost like you're feeling sorry for me because I'm a surveyor.
A little bit, yes. That's a different show, but yes.
I look at like
I'm not saying it because I feel I'm trying to justify something. I'm just saying that just like everything we talk about with AI, it just shifts the workflow to be able to QA and QC much more, instead of spend most of our time and money with some antiquated things to get to the same. It's just everything's gonna improve.
Right. So let me just jump in here real quick as a surveyor, right? And I have said this for a number of years, that surveyors, all they're going to have is boundary, the legal side of it. That's all they're going to have.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but
that's pretty much all we are going to have as surveyors, the boundary side of it. But the thing is, like, we have all of this information available to us, and like in different levels of accuracy. Like, how is it all going to come together? What can you rely on? What can you not rely on? And it's like, I'm in favor of it. I fucking love it. First and foremost, I love all this stuff.
But I guess it's a shifting of liability. So you're going to take an existing model that some guy made, some people made 5 years ago, use that as your design basis. And then if that says, I'm going to put the building that's within this 10-foot easement that I can't cross over, do you think they're going to build that building based on that data alone? No, they're gonna say, hey, Kent, go out there and make damn sure that this building is going to be built 10 feet from that line. And you're just doing it after instead of before.
Only because
in the design process.
Look at it this way. Here's like, Mark, you're gonna love this because you and I are about the same age, and we've been in this business for about the same amount of time. It's like, I can remember when GIS first came on the scene, right? And surveyors are like, fuck, there's no way, blah, 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 blah. It's not going to catch. There's no way. Now, every fucking college has a GIS program. And there's like 12 survey programs, right? It's not a good situation. But,
well, no, I disagree. It's not a good situation.
Yeah,
if the same people graduating 30 years ago were dropped into the world right now, it would not be a good situation. But the people who are coming into this industry, who are tech savvy and tech enthusiasts and have tech expectations, there's going to be, I still think, plenty of work to keep the world occupied in improving the built, structures that exist today and those that need to be built. But it is going to change. You're going to trust that
the role
corner up on the
change.
building 30 feet high is accurate. You're going to trust that. You're not going to need to go out with a total station and shoot points because you're going to trust them. But there's other things you're not going to trust, and it's going to change. It's definitely going to change. What's I think even greater, it might be another night to talk about this, is if it used to take you 100 hours and you were able to bill for 100 hours of work, and now it's taking 5 hours.
Whole nother conversation.
That is a lengthy conversation that we have gotten into.
I love that conversation. We need to have that conversation.
Well, that's a race to the bottom, if you ask me. But
yeah.
All right, we're getting kind of the end of our time here. There's about 3 avenues that we can run with this, but we do need to kind of wrap up. Kent, what's the one more question you'd like to ask Mark before we let him go?
One more question.
This is what you do, so you shouldn't have to think about it.
Remember, I came in really late to this conversation. That's true. Yeah. Mark, the one question I have for you, let's circle this back. The fact that you and I are about the same age, right? We've been in this business about the same amount of time. What's like the biggest advancement that you've seen that we have or have not taken the most advantage of?
I think the promise of BIM 20-something years ago, one model to serve them all concept, has not come into being. And I think in large part because we have been so file-based, and we still, up until very recently, the standard of practice was Revit files that are being shared some way or another, DWG files, PDF files, certainly submitting drawings in the form of a file at best case to get your permits. I think we're right on the verge of becoming data-centric. We see it in the applications from Autodesk and Bentley and Hexagon and Trimble. Certainly, they're all embracing the concept of data as a service, not just their software being served. It has big implications as well, and that could be a whole other night of talking about who owns the data and who can turn the data spigot on and off. But I think that we are going to have a fundamental shift that AI is driving, that the cloud certainly has matured, and the idea of where does that file exist is going to go away in AEC to a pretty fast degree over the next few years. That's in 5-year lifespan, let's say. I think we're going to be talking much differently about how we query data and generate files as needed from our data lakes and data oceans and whatever we call them in a few years.
I completely agree, because that's the one thing we've been hearing in the last 3 to 6 months is the concept of not having files for your data. It just exists, and that concept is like, wait a second, no,
that's a GIS mindset, though. That's a GIS mindset.
I've got to have a folder where all those files exist, and that's where everything comes from. It can't just go into a place that I can't go and touch the file. And that I agree with. And
that's because we're old and we grew up with file cabinets.
True.
I have one more question.
Correct. The name itself means that it exists in the cabinet. It's something you can pull out and separate.
Yes. So Mark, being the fact that you and I are at the same age, I might be a year older. Who knows?
I told you my age. How
we
might
all
you
know
be older than me?
I might be 1 year older than you. So like when you go to these conferences and you're seeing all the latest and greatest technology and all the latest and greatest ways of doing things, it's like, oh my God, I was a part of this from its inception, and now it's grown to the point of this. Like, where do you focus your energy?
I think it's what we talked about earlier, of making sure that the early career folks, whether it's my son or some random person that I run into at a show, giving them the time of day and getting a little bit of excitement from them, and sharing a little bit of wisdom that might exist somewhere, behind and around the cobwebs that are filling my head.
Love it.
Yep.
I mean, and that's really, and I like how we kind of wrap that into what we talk about a lot, and it's really the mentoring and getting more people
You betcha.
energized into
You betcha.
this. And we're talking to a professional evangelist in our space that does a lot for all of us, I think.
Yeah.
So
Mark, are we going to see you in Munich?
that's the big question.
Oh,
we're going to see him before.
That's all
you're going to see me
about.
before. You're going to see me in Denver at Geo Week.
Geo Week. We'll see you at Geo Week.
In
Yes.
Denver, and then we'll convince him to come to Munich.
No, we're going to Munich.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Add it to the list.
Do you have anything else you want to get out there before we let you go?
Before you let me go, let's see.
And I have one more magic question that I ask everybody coming up. So
one topic we didn't touch on, and again, it's probably another night, is the topic of open standards and data exchange and building smart and IFC files and how that's going from being file-based to data-centric. But it's a passion of mine. I've been involved with the organization since its very first meeting at Autodesk some 30 years ago under a different name, but it's evolved to become Building Smart. And I would say it's in its potential heyday right now as the world is going data-centric, and Building Smart is right there in open standards and data exchange. So hopefully see some of you at the Building Smart conferences around the globe this year.
There we have it.
I think we may have to find our way there on one of those.
We should.
And if Mark says it, that means that's the way it's going to go.
That's where we're going to be.
All right. I got one last question before we take off here. Ask everybody, Mark, do you have a mantra that you live by?
There was a period of time where I kind of got gut punched, let go from a job, somewhat surprisingly. The project that I was working on and leading was absolutely off the rails, and I knew it, but it got gut punched and got let go. And for the period of time between it and finding my next gig, my mantra was tits out, chin up.
Yeah.
So
love it.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Hey, keep your head up,
Exactly. Keep your head up.
I'm
Keep your
with
shoulders
that.
back.
I'm good with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna have to start using that.
Tits out, chin up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait for years. I can't wait to hear you say that. Right, set, go.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Mark, thank you so much, man. This has been a great conversation. Don't leave. Hang on.
Yeah.
Okay.
We gotta have an after show.
Yeah.
All right.
Have a little extra, but yeah, definitely appreciate it.
Ready, set, go.
Let's go.
All
And
right.
there's music playing, Mark. If you don't hear it, just groove along.
I don't hear it. Yeah.
Trust me, it's funny.
It's funny.
Adding value, making friends. Check that box.
Already there, but
Already there.
added a lot lot more value to me.
If anyone would like to be a guest on a future show, we're booking into February.
All right,
actually.
look at us getting the
Shoot
schedule.
us an email at info@geoholics.com because we are in demand. That's all I gotta say. Huge thanks to our featured partners, Emlid, Topodot, Altair Central, Hexagon, NLC Prep, David Evans and Associates, and of course, Trenkina, Diamondback Land Survey.
You didn't say ESRI.
And ESRI. No, they've upped their game next year. That's the thing. ESRI has upped their game next year.
Nice.
So it's going to be huge. Maybe we'll get invited to the ESRI Users Conference. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed. It's a hard ticket, no doubt about it. Pink Floyd money available everywhere. Until next time, everyone. Tits out, chin up.
Tits out, chin up. That's all you need.
Most importantly, be safe and healthy, everyone. Money! So they say.